The PA system in this abandoned hospital hasn't worked in over 40 years. But last night, it called each of us by name and told us exactly where to go. The PA system turned on, not gradually. 1 second of absolute silence, then a sharp metallic crackle that tore through every corridor of Hargrove Psychiatric Hospital. A flat, mechanical voice began looping the same announcement. Visiting hours, fire safety protocols, the same 3 sentences over and over, as if the building were still operational, as if patients still walked these halls. We froze. Marcus checked his phone. No signal, but the timestamp read 12:47 a.m. He'd write that down later, though none of us would remember why it mattered. The announcement looped 4 times. 5, then it stopped. The silence that followed was worse than before, because now we knew the building could speak. Then it said my name. Not a nickname, not a first name. My full legal name. The one on my birth certificate. The one I'd never given to anyone in that group. The PA spoke it clearly, without distortion, and followed it with a room number. Wing C, room 114. Then the system crackled again and recited Jenna's full name. Then Marcus's, then David's, each one paired with a room number in Wing C. We'd seen the entrance on the way in. A hallway sealed behind a wall of cinder blocks, mortared shut decades ago. No door, no window, just brick and the faint smell of something chemical seeping through the gaps. Marcus pulled up the building schematics he downloaded before we came. According to the original floor plan, Wing C had been the long-term psychiatric ward. It was bricked shut in 1986, a year before the hospital officially closed. The records he'd found online were sparse. Budget cuts, structural concerns, a vague mention of an incident that was never detailed. We decided to find another way in. The service corridors behind the main wing were narrow and dark, the walls lined with old conduit and dead wiring. We followed them deeper, and that's when we noticed something wrong. The PA system was still active. We could hear the faint echo of that same announcement looping somewhere ahead of us. But the main control room was back near the front entrance. We'd passed it, it was empty. The console was covered in dust, the switches corroded in the off position. Nothing there had been touched in decades. The sound wasn't coming from the control room, it was coming from behind the sealed wall. We found a maintenance hatch that opened into a narrow crawl space running parallel to Wing C's outer wall. The air inside was cold, naturally cold, the kind that doesn't match the season or the building's insulation. And the PA announcement was louder here, close enough that we could feel the vibration in the metal ductwork above us. David was the first to notice the speakers. They were mounted along the ceiling of the crawl space. Old industrial models, the kind that would have been original to the building. But they weren't connected to anything. No wires, no conduit, no power source of any kind. They were bolted to the ceiling like decorations, dead metal cones pointing down at us. And they were broadcasting. The announcement stopped. The silence returned. Then, one by one, the speakers began reciting our names again. But this time, the order was different. It started with David, then Marcus, then Jenna, then me. And each name was followed not by a room number this time, but by a date. David's date was 3 days from now. Marcus's was 2 days after that. Jenna's was the following week. Mine was tonight. I checked my phone. The screen was black. When it powered back on, the timestamp read 12:47 a.m., the same time as before. Exactly the same. Marcus checked his. Same reading. We'd been crawling through that space for what felt like 20 minutes, but no time had passed at all. The speakers went quiet. Then, from somewhere deep behind the bricked wall, we heard something else. Not a voice, not a recording. A sound like breathing. Slow, rhythmic, and close, as if something on the other side of those cinder blocks had been waiting for us to notice it was there. We ran, every one of us, without discussion, without hesitation. We didn't stop until we were outside, standing in the parking lot under a sky that looked wrong, too dark, too still, as if the night itself had been paused. David checked his phone one more time. 12:47 a.m. We never went back. But I need you to understand something. The dates the system gave us, those weren't predictions. I know that now. They were appointments. The building wasn't telling us when something would happen. It was telling us when we'd be expected. 3 days later, David stopped answering his phone. His family said he'd gone out for a walk and never came back. The police found his car parked outside Hargrove Hospital. The driver's door was open, the engine was off, and on the passenger seat, written in dust, was a single room number. Wing C, room 114. My room. Marcus disappeared 2 days after David. Jenna the following week. Their cars were found in the same parking lot. Doors open, engines off, each with a dust message on the passenger seat. Each one pointing to Wing C, room 112 torn. The building is collecting us, one by one, and my date was the first one given, tonight. I'm still here because I don't know where else to go. It already knows my name. Next time you hear a voice calling your name in an empty hallway, don't answer it. Subscribe before it subscribes to you.